Welcome, friends, to this second session of our 3-day program on the second day of our meditation workshop. I have been talking to you earlier about what one can expect from a meditation that takes us deep within our own self. What we can expect is to find the self, to find ourself. We can find our real self, not the self that is covered by various kinds of costumes which we are wearing to play our acts in different dramas going on here, but to find out who is the real actor when all the costumes are removed. Right now we have been thinking that the costumes are ourselves. When we shed off these costumes, we'll find out who the real self is. There is 2 ways to travel on this journey. The 2 ways can be likened to a car, an American car, which has 2 ways to move, propel forwards. One is called the rear wheel drive, and one is called the front wheel drive. In the case of the rear wheel drive, the engine of the car uses the rear wheels to push the car forward. It's an effort to push the vehicle. The front wheel drive loads the power of propulsion to the front wheels, and it doesn't push the car, it pulls the car. So there is a push and a pull. On the spiritual path, in meditation, we have 2 systems. One that you push and one that pulls. The 2 systems are combined sometimes because sometimes we need one, sometimes we need the other, sometimes we need both. So that is why it's important to understand what are the 2 features that can push and pull in meditation. One of them is called the art of repetition, called Simran, or use of a mantra which is repeated. The repetition of words by the mind enables us to think only of those words and pull our attention from other things, and we are pushing. Mantra that is spoken, repeated in the mind, whether with or without beads in your hands, is an act of pushing ourselves towards our destination. Then there's the second method, which is listening to something that is already in, which has the power of pulling us. And that's called the audible sound current that lies in all of us. I was talking about the difference in the 2 features of good meditation, the 2 features of going towards your own true self. One is the push feature, one is the pull feature. The push feature makes us put our efforts through a repetition of words, trying to control our emotions, and doing everything outside to push us towards our own self. Trying to detach from people, trying to lead a simple life, trying to eat foods that suit concentration of attention, being a vegetarian, all those things are push. So these involve effort that we have to push. The second is pull. That means there's something inside us that can pull us. And that something inside is a sound. It looks odd that a sound should have that power, but sound has immense power. It depends what kind of sound. There is a sound that we make. We can make a sound with a musical instrument. We can make noise also. But we can make beautiful sounds. Melodies can be created. If a bell sound has to be made, we take a bell, it knocks from inside, tung, tung. Of course, it's nice to hear the bell sound when it strikes, tung. But the more interesting part is the peal that goes on after it's struck. Now, the struck can be harsh. Tongue, you want to make it longer, then you are striking it hard. That is harsh. But the rest of it is not harsh. That's melodious. A sound that is only melody and without the harshness exists in the consciousness of all of us. It's inborn. That sound has a property that no other sound has. That sound has the property to pull us up, pull our attention up. Therefore, if we can practice listening to that sound, listening is always with the soul. If we can tune ourselves to listen to the sound within, we are pulled by it into higher experiences. It's actually a shortcut to going within. No amount of effort can match the power of the pull of the sound within. And yet, because we have never been used to hearing any sounds inside, all our experiences hearing sounds and noises outside, even melodies we have associated with music outside, we have never cared to hear inner music. Inner music is natural to us, and we haven't heard it. And therefore, we can't start with something that we haven't heard, we don't know. It may be there, but we don't see it, we don't hear it. I understand that when in certain islands, the ships first reached there, the people of those ships, of those islands could not see those ships because they'd never seen anything like it. They had no idea that such large ships exist. The shamans there, with higher awareness, could see the ships. And they told the people, ships are coming. And they said, we can't see them. They said, point out, there you see the ships. The shamans helped those people to see the ships. Which means, even when something was there, they could not see it because all their method of seeing was what they have seen before, what they are used to seeing. That's our problem with the sound. We are used to hearing only external sounds. We have never thought of hearing any internal sounds. What we thought was internal sounds, people mentioned there's an internal sound, and we try to listen, what is the internal sound? And we hear the sound of our heartbeat. We hear the sound of our breathing. We hear the sound of bloods moving through this. We hear the sound of problem in the ear, tinnitus. We hear these kind of sounds. Sometimes we even hear sounds gurgling in the belly. But these are all physical sounds. They are the very sounds we have been used to all the time. The sound that can pull us, we have not had a chance to hear it. And that's why we don't hear it. Now, in order to hear it, we put our attention. Again, the same thing. We put our attention to where the sound is coming from. The sound comes exactly from where the self is. The sound is already there where the self is. It's right there, right now, in all of us. We don't hear it. Therefore, we have to use the push in order to reach the sound. The push, the simran, the repetition of words, mantras are all designed to draw us sufficiently. We draw our attention sufficiently from the external world and from this body to be able to reach the sound within and hear it. That is why, in my experience, I found the meditational practice with the sound is the best meditational practice to reach yourself, according to my experience. I have tried many kinds of yogas. I have tried the Hatha Yoga, the Raj Yoga, the Kundalini Yoga, and several other new formations that have come up. Variety of them with actual yogis who were successful up in the mountains. Tried all these, but nothing matched the sound yoga, which they call Surt Shabd Yoga, which means attention, sound, yoga. These three words means the attention is used to hear the sound, and it takes you to union with your true self, yoga. Surt Shabd Yoga, the yoga of the audible sound current, is the one that I find is really designed for us. It's designed by nature to take us right to the top. Why? Because words have a very limited use. Words can be used here in this physical world. The language, spoken language, can be used here, and to some extent can be used in the astral plane. Otherwise, the normal language in the astral plane is a transfer of thought where any language spoken can be understood by anybody in any other language, the automatic translation. Have you ever noticed what they call telepathic communication, which is a normal communication on the astral plane? In telepathic communication, if a person thinks in German and another person doesn't know German, he still understands it in other English language. It's not necessary to know that language and telepathy. Telepathy conveys the content of the language. In the astral plane, that's the normal communication. And yet, because we are used to using spoken words, varanatmak, that means that can be spoken and written in language, in script and voice, phonetic symbols. We are using phonetic symbols to convey meaning. These phonetic symbols, which we call language, and all languages are just symbols, phonetic symbols, just sound symbols. These phonetic symbols have what meaning do they have? It may shock you to know. Every person's meaning of the language is different from everybody else. No two people speak the same word, language, and think it's the same thing that they are saying. Everybody says something to make into words, and something is in the mind, this I am saying in my words, other person is hearing, that's what he said, with the same words. Why is that? Why is verbal communication so imperfect? The reason is that the languages we have developed are these sounds, these phonetic symbols that are created by our vocal cords and our voice boxes. These phonetic symbols only have been generated meanings on association of ideas with that sound. A child grows up and we constantly refer to a chair to sit on. Chair means the chair the child sat on. The chair means the chair that was in their house. Another person has never seen those styles of chairs, but has a huge big chair and talks to this child and says, oh, I have a nice big chair. He says, oh yeah, I sit on it too. He's talking of a small chair. Because the child has no more definition of a chair than the chairs he has seen. Whereas the other person has seen different chairs, therefore the meaning of the word chair is different. Similarly, all these words are based upon the experiences that we have had with that word, the spoken word, the sound. And that is why we are never two speaking in the same language when we use words. The big disadvantage in speaking with language, spoken words. On the other hand, if we want to transfer content of what we want to say, which is telepathy, then we transfer the content instead of using words. Somebody thinks and we understand it. Language is not involved in that. Indeed, that is the correct language in the astral plane. You go one step higher, no language is there at all. We just put a concept of everything, you conceptualize this, and the understanding is imminent all over. They are predicting that one day we will have a universal language. They tried Esperanto at one time as a world language, but it didn't last too long because our vocal cords are so designed, we speak our own language very differently. We can't even pronounce. There is an airline in which I traveled last time to India called KLM. They have said, if anybody can pronounce the three words that represent KLM, we'll give them a free ride to Amsterdam. Now those three words are so difficult to pronounce, and they say just make a video pronouncing those words, and if you are in America, we'll give you a free trip there. They're such difficult to pronounce. We don't even know whether J is spelled or not. In Lithuania, a girl is saying her name starts with D, and then Z, then another symbol on top of that Z, and it means J. How can we English-speaking people understand that? The D, Z with a little cap on top means J. We go to Spain, and they say, oh, I tell them I went to a place called La Jolla. Oh, that's not called La Jolla. I said, no, it's in America. No, it's called La Jolla. I said, what, where do the L's and the J go away? And I go to Spain, and I say, I went to La Jolla. They say, what do you mean? And I give them the same spelling. Are you speaking Spanish? Yeah. Mexicans speak Spanish too. The Mexicans are speaking Spanish, they are saying La Jolla. They said, no, it's not La Jolla. It's La Jolla. Jolla. Ho, can you say H? I had a great difficulty saying H. I said, Kh? They said, no, go to the back of your mouth. I'm only telling you the difficulty of speaking in the language we have created because we don't pronounce the same words the same way. Therefore, there is no universal communication in spoken language. And yet, I can't talk to you except in any other way except spoken language. And once in a while, add a little bit of telepathic communication, which surprises people. Oh, we had a dream. We heard this. I said, really? So that kind of communication that takes place, I am saying that the words have big limitation. The spoken words and the written words have a big limitation. That is why they are called the Varan Atmak sound, a sound that can be spoken and written. But the true sound that can take us can neither be spoken nor written. We can start with the original melodies that start with the bell sound. The peal of the bell without its harshness, which can be heard first of all. That can be heard before you even enter the astral plane. And that's the peal of the bell. Subtle, melodious, subtle sound occurring beyond the physical sounds. When you hear that peal of the bell behind and you catch it, put your attention on it, it pulls you. It pulls your attention out of the body faster than any amount of meditation through Simran or repetition. Therefore, it's great to have that aid that you can do Surt Shabd Yoga, the attention on the sound. And therefore, I find that's a great place to start your spiritual journey. But this journey on sound undergoes so many changes. Sounds change. Why do these sounds change? The bell sound changes into a long, conch-like sound. I can't compare with the exact musical instruments here, but it becomes a long, continuous sound. What elongates the sound is it's not that we have come to a new sound. Against the practice sounds or the physical sounds or early initial sounds, the bell sound is a clear change. You're moving into a different level. You can see that they are at a different level. They're placed differently inside. But when you move to that and move to a continuous peal of the same bell, it's not another peal. It's not just a squeak that's going on. It's the same bell. The peal has increased, which was tan, tan, now it's tan, tan, then it's tan, and it goes on. It's still the bell, but it's lost that particular strike in it, and it's equally melodious. The same sound keeps on transforming and ultimately becomes no more than a resonance. It's not like sound at all. It's a resonance that pulls you. It's a power that pulls you. And as you go along that sound, you find that sound connects you with every level of consciousness, right to your true home. There's no break in that sound. There's a break in the spectacle. There's a break in the vision. When you go to dream, you have a certain vision. But when you wake up, that is broken. And you wake up with a different vision of the wakeful world. When you rise to the astral plane, you break off your vision of the physical world. But the sound continues. You'll be amazed that the same sound is even there in a dream state. And the sound just undergoes changes. When you start listening to that sound, you are in the right type of the highest form of meditation that I know of. And you caught an express train right to your destination. If you stick with the sound will undergo changes depending on the different stages of consciousness, different levels of consciousness. As you will rise through those levels, you will eventually, with the same sound, sounding non-sound at a time, ultimately a complete power, ultimately the source of consciousness, ultimately ending up as totality of consciousness. It's amazing. We can't believe that our totality, which is consciousness, has a manifestation. Because if you see the term we are using, consciousness, what does consciousness mean? That means you're conscious of something. Supposing nothing to be conscious of, it disappears. The word disappears if there's nothing to be conscious of. It exists on something to be conscious of, to have consciousness. And yet consciousness can be there per se. That's not the right word for it. What word can we use? We have no word for it. For lack of word, we have been using the word for it. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's John's Gospel says in the Bible. What does Rig Veda say? In the beginning there was a Nard, the sound. And the Nard was the creator of all things, as the Nard was the creator. I think it's a translation to Sanskrit. Or maybe the Hebrew was a translation from the Sanskrit. Whatever, if you look into this, the original in Islamic literature, in Sufi literature, you find they talk of a sound that they call Bange Asmani. That means the sound from the skies. The sound that is not spoken by anybody, but comes from the skies. And what have we translated that into? That the Maulvi in the mosque, he makes a long sound in the morning to call people in, and that's Bange Asmani. How have we treated these real pieces of knowledge that existed in our scriptures, in all scriptures, about the fact that there is truth all within ourselves and it can be accessed through sound? You'll find great literature about it, but we ignore that. How can sound be the truth? We're talking of ordinary sound created by musical instruments or sound created by our tongue or a voice box, but this inner sound is an essence. You will find that when we say there's a perfect living master there, it would be appropriate to say it's the ultimate sound personified as a human being. That is why in many scriptures it says, is the word made flesh. It was the sound that manifested as a guru. It says in so many scriptures that what is the reality of consciousness as a manifestation of its own without having anything to be conscious of could not be likened to any other word or symbol, even the physical world, except sound. Why did we call it sound here? Because it is audible at the physical level. That's a great feature of it, that as physical human beings, we can hear it. So it's an audible sound. Not all the time. It's a living sound. It's a personality. We find later on it's a big personality. It's a total personality. But we don't see it here, but we can hear it as a sound. It's like an audible sound. So to be able to listen to the audible sound at this stage and move along it is the best yoga, best way to find your true self that I have found out. I'm sharing this with you because this practice works. Other practices work up to a point. Their aims are different. Their goals are different. The goal of this practice is to reach the ultimate, to reach our true home, not a home that will change, not a home that will be destroyed by dissolution, destruction, not a home that undergoes anything other than staying a permanent, eternal home from where we came first of all. So this particular method of practicing sound, I will go into it a little more deeply tomorrow. But today, let's start from the beginning. I'm giving you an advanced information about how this process proceeds, push and pull. Let's start with the push. Yesterday, I asked you to sit behind the eyes and make that your nice meditation chamber. I believe the only proper place to do prayers and meditation is inside your head. People make special rooms, they go to special churches, they go to special meditation chambers, they go to meditation workshops too, and thinking that's where meditation exists. And they carry their meditation chamber with them wherever they go. The true meditation chamber they carry with them all the time on top of their heads, on top of their bodies in the head. You don't have to go anywhere. Meditation effectively takes place when you meditate in the head. I went to a friend's house who was, I understood, a great meditator. When I say great meditator, the evaluation is being made on how many numbers of hours he meditates. That's another issue that I'll talk to you about, difference between quantitative meditation and qualitative meditation. We just give more quantity and think, great meditator. I do 8 hours, I do 6 hours. What do you do? What do you do? 10 hours? Oh, you are ahead of me. But this 10 hours, you will be meditating on something else. Now this man, my friend of long meditational standing, had a very nice, expensive cushion bought from Kashmir. Very nice design on it and so on. And he had kept a corner of his room with incense and all things that make a place holy. And he had hallowed it with his blessings and all blessings of his master. And he would sit on that special, expensive cushion to do meditation. He used to sit on a chair, but he said, a chair is too Western. I want to do Indian meditation. I didn't know there was a difference. But anyway, Indian meditation means sit on the floor. And he sat on the cushion on the floor and meditated. I sat with him. And I said, I want to tell you, you meditated long enough, but you meditated mostly on your cushion. Your cushion was in your mind. I am sitting on this nice cushion. Where's your mind? The mind is still on the cushion. The mind is on the incense around you. The mind is the candles that are burning. You are not sitting at the right place. He said, which is the right place? I said, right into your head. He said, how can one sit inside the head? I said, that's the beginning of meditation. How to sit in your head. If you close your eyes and imagine that this is not your head, but it's a room on top of your house, that the whole body is a house, and you are on the 6th floor of that house, and you can decorate that house. You can decorate that room. Put your best cushion over there. Don't put it outside. Put the best, most expensive cushion, most expensive chair, the best drapes you can get. They are all being purchased through a priceless currency called imagination. So you imagine you are there in the center of your head, then start your actual, whatever you want to do, push or pull. You want to do repetition, go there first. I came to this country, America, and I met many people who are doing meditation. They said, we are initiated people, we do meditation. And I asked them the same question. When I came to this country and asked some people who were already meditating about meditation and how do they do their repetition of words and whatnot, and do they sit here first before they start? They said, no, nobody told us that. I said, did you get no inclination during initiation, during practice of meditation? Nobody told you that you shouldn't even start meditation unless you first locate yourself. That location is so important. They said, no, there are so many books I have never heard. We have never heard of it. I said, do you have any book from Great Master? They said, yes, we have a book called Spiritual Letters. I said, have you read that? Yeah. We don't see this kind of stuff there. I said, can you give me a copy? Because I have never read it. I heard the title only, the name that my master wrote, some letters, and they are put into a book form now. So I took a copy and read it through and marked 16 letters in which he clearly stated that unless you first locate yourself behind the eyes, do not even start Simran. How come they never read it? Because their mind was not used to that. You don't even read the whole book when you read it. You read what you want to read. You read what your mind wants to read. One guy told me he has read this book by Julian Johnson called Path of the Masters. It contains nothing but all Eastern ideas imposed upon him. It's all Eastern stuff, and there is no commonsensical thing. There's nothing psychologically analytical in it. There's nothing that I can understand. And threw it away. 6 years later, I met him in Boston. He says, I found the truth. I found something that I'm looking for all my life. I said, where did you find it? In Julian Johnson's Path of the Masters. Same book. So we have seen this happen. Therefore, I am emphasizing more than once that meditation should not even be begun at a wrong location. Meditation should be started Even if you repeat mantras of any kind, do it where it belongs, do it where it's effective. And that is in the chamber, the third eye center behind the eyes. So first settle yourself at the center. Make yourselves comfortable there. Do not make meditation a struggle, which we are inclined to do because we find everything in life comes from struggle. So we say even spirituality will come by struggle. It doesn't. Struggle becomes a block to progress on this path. Therefore, sit in the center of the head and relax. And say, now I'm relaxed, I know where I am. Now I have to repeat the words, but I was told don't struggle. Now how do I repeat the words if I don't struggle? And that's a good question. Even to try to repeat words is a little bit of a struggle, not too much, but some struggle. And I am saying don't make any struggle. How do we sit there in the center of the head and make no struggle and do our Simran? The answer may surprise you. Don't do it yourself. Make your master do it. He said he'll do everything for you, didn't he? The master said, I'll do everything for you. Well, why not a little bit of meditation too for us? You sit there and talk to the master. And say, Master, I want you to say those very words you asked me to repeat. I love to hear them. And let the master repeat, you relax and listen to them. And that listening is as powerful as listening to the Shabd and listening to the sound. That's completely effortless. You are relaxing. You are listening to somebody else repeating for you. And that's true repetition of Simran. No struggle. This path is not a path of struggle, nor is it a path of impatience. Oh, I sat so long, nothing is happening. More patience is needed. It's also called the Sahaj Yoga. Out of all the yogas, Surt Shabd Yoga has been called the Sahaj Yoga, which means slow and steady wins the race. It's a slow and steady because we are opening up some closed areas of our own consciousness. And when we are doing that, the more gently we open, the better it is for us. It's like trying, if your clothes, your gown or your shirt gets tangled in a bunch of thorns on a rose bush, and you want to untangle them. You try to push away, they all get torn. But if you take one step at a time and remove the thorn, it's much better. So this way, even our attachments, which function like thorns, if you say all the way, all my attachments are off, they don't go off. That you have to say, this one, I have done my karma, it's finished. I have to do my duty, if anything is left. But that particular feeling that I was going to be permanently with this person has gone because I'm not going to be permanent with anybody. The physical body is not going to be permanent. This is temporary, but I'll do my duty fully. And you are detached, and one thought has been taken off. This can be done with all our relationships. We are still doing the same things, better, more skillfully, as a duty, and not involving too much emotion in it. Meditation is not merely sitting at a certain time and closing your eyes. Meditation is a way of life. We change our way of life. We change how we deal with people. We change how we look at them. We distinguish between a spiritual connection and the sense of duty because of karma. They say karma and dharma go together. Karma is your action, your intentions behind the action, and dharma is your spiritual priority that you give. If you lay your priorities straight and put spiritual priorities high, you won't go wrong. If your priority is correct, all the time this awareness will be there. This I am doing as a duty. This is, I am paying off my bills. My bills were pending with the grocers and all those. I am paying off, very happy to pay off my bills. Karma should be treated like that. It should be paid off cheerfully because we owe it. Nobody else created it. We created it. And why not pay it cheerfully? Instead of grumbling about it, who imposed these bills on me? Well, you bought it. Don't you remember the goods you bought? No, I don't remember. You still owe it. even if you don't remember it. You can't take the plea of forgetfulness not to pay your bills. You can't take the plea of forgetfulness not to pay off your karma. So therefore, the whole attitude of life undergoes a change when you are on the spiritual path. But getting back to the practice of meditation, the one thing that comes in the way of sitting there quietly in silence inside is the chatter of the mind, is the mind speaking of things outside of this space. And that has to be controlled. Otherwise, you can't sit for too long. You can try to sit there, mind will think of something else, you'll be out. In order to sit there quietly, you have to remove the thoughts that are taking you out of it. One of the main functions of repetition of mantra is to replace the words of thoughts with the chosen words forced upon the mind to repeat those and take the other ones out. It is to squeeze out words of thought and replace them with the words of a chosen mantra. Mantras have been given by mystics forever because they want to give mantra as those words which you don't understand. If you understand them too well and they're connected with things outside, they don't work. I love Shakey's pizza. I used to love Shakey's pizza. And my master says, okay, your mantra is Shakey's pizza. And I can keep on repeating Shakey's pizza. I'll never be here. I'll go to all the Shaky pizza stores and eat pizza while I'm repeating these words. You can't have words that have association with outside. Perfect living masters give words which have an association of ideas with experiences inside that will come. Therefore, they automatically help you. You may not understand them here, but as the experience happens, you know why that word was used. So those words are really helpful. So mantra is also designed for many purposes. There can be mantra that just calms you down. Naturally, if you repeat any word continuously, it will calm you down. You can try it out. If that is the objective, that you want to use meditation to calm yourself down, then you can use any word. But if you want to raise the level of consciousness to another level and go upwards and back to your true home, then you have to use mantras that don't have an association here, but they have an association somewhere else, which will come up when we go higher levels of consciousness. Perfect living masters give those kinds of mantras. They also empower the mantra, so that although they're just sound, phonetic sound symbols, but they give their own conscious power to it to prevent one of the other things that interferes with our meditation and our journey, which is negativity. We go across people, they are negative, some of them, some are positive. We have circumstances which are negative and positive. They have to exist negative and positive to balance out the world of duality. In the world of duality, everything is balanced out by negative and positive. So even when we meet people, they are negative and positive. Now we want to be on the positive side. So when initiated by a perfect living master, one of the advantages of repeating those words, whether in meditation or otherwise, is it pushes off negativity away from you. And that's a big help on the spiritual path. So that's why a mantra given by a perfect living master has much greater value than any mantra that is merely intended to calm you down or calm the mind down and make you feel more at peace. Now, I have explained all this to you so that we can begin. I think it's time to begin. So instead of thinking of other things, now when you locate yourself behind the eyes, if you have a mantra, repeat the mantra slowly. I don't know what instructions you have. I'm telling you what is effective. Slowly, deliberately, pronouncing every syllable of the words and listening to it. Effectiveness will depend upon how much you listen to those words you are repeating in the head rather than mere repetition. Because if you don't listen to what you are repeating, the mind will start thinking in other channels of other things, and you'll think you are repeating. But when you listen to it with attention, that's where you want to grab the attention inside. So you then repeat the words slowly and listen to it. Are there any people who have no mantra at all here? A few. You can coin for this session your own mantra. A mantra that expresses love for the beloved, because that's a spiritual activity that you can see much more inside. A short phrase that expresses love for the beloved will be your temporary mantra for today. Okay, close your eyes. Make your body in an upright position. Be alert. Station yourself behind the eyes. Imagine this body is a house. It has several floors below you. You are sitting on the 6th floor in a nice dark room. It's not too dark. You can see some lights flickering around on the walls, in front and at the sides. And you are sitting in the center. You with imagination, draw up a chair, drag the chair to the center, sit on it, look around. If it looks too barren, you can hang some curtains, drapes, make it more comfortable. Stay in the center. Don't move. Think of nothing else but the center. And start repeating your mantra slowly while remaining in the center without moving from there. Keep your eyes closed till I count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes, rub your face and your hands, knees. Welcome back. How many of you could do this successfully, to sit in the center of the head? Most of you are able to do it. Tomorrow, we'll proceed with a switch from your repeating the words to master repeating the words, how that switch has to be accomplished, and further, how to switch between repetition of words and listening to the sound, and at what stage we should switch from one to the other. We'll practice those two things tomorrow. These are the nice steps that we can take towards going to the sound. So we first concentrate enough to focus on the point, third eye center, through words, repetition of words, and then we use non-verbal, not non-verbal, but you don't speak, but Master speaks the words, you listen, you're converting from speaking to listening, you're converting from using the mind to using the soul, and then eventually the sounds appear because you're using the soul to listen to the words, and when the sounds appear, you switch. Sound become better, you stay with the sound become weak, you go back to the words, and this is a switch between them. We'll talk about it and practice it tomorrow, because that will be a very significant part of the meditational process. We'll conclude for today at this time, and I'll do a few more interviews. There's a long list of people who wanted one-on-one. I understand how important it is for people to have a personal one-on-one interview, because several questions which are very personal in nature, they don't want to ask, and sometimes they should not ask. We in India are sometimes reluctant to ask some questions, and we only ask Master in private. And here also I feel a lot of people have personal questions, they only ask. Now we have an Indian lady here who many of you know, Bibi Raj, and she has some comment on questions and answers, and some comment on some teachings of Guru Nanak. So before we get up from here, I will request Bibi Raj to come and tell us something about the Indian way, because I didn't first know that there's a different way of Indian question and answers, nor did I know there's an Indian meditation and non-Indian meditation. But apparently some people believe that. It's a universal thing. It does not belong to any nation, does not belong to any country, and does not belong to any community, does not belong to any society, does not belong to any group. Spirituality is not the monopoly of anybody. It's open to all humanity. All human beings are equal in the eyes of a perfect living master because the souls are equal. The masters don't look at our bodies and look at what religion we belong to, what faith we have, what kind of belief system we have, what kind of food we eat, what kind of language we speak. They're not concerned with that. Perfect living masters look at our souls and find they're all part of the same totality of consciousness. And they have come here specifically to take the marked souls back to their home at the right time. Yes, Bibi Raj. How many of you have seen this lady before? Oh, lots of them. How many have never seen her? Oh, I introduced to you Bibi. This Bibi, Bibi is a term for a lady. It's just the name. When we want to address a lady, we say Bibi in India. And Great Master used to say that too. And he had 3 Bibis who used to be taking care of him when he was, especially when he was old. And one of them, the stoutest one, I can tell you a story about Bibis tomorrow. Stoutest one was Bibi Lajo, who took care of him to the end of his life. And then Bibi Lajo, after Great Master passed away, had a lot of time together with this Bibi. She spent a lot of time, heard so many stories about Great Master from Bibi Lajo, and she carries all that storehouse of information about Great Master's life and so on. And she likes to share that with people. It's a historical thing, but sometimes you get some little nice cues for yourself when you hear these old stories. Yes, Bibi.
So I will start with Guru Nanak's story. And this story I'm telling because this has connection with the questions today. Some of the questions people also have heard, some are not heard. It should be asked for the master's personal things. So I'm just asking with this for you people because we should adapt which is around the front of masters. My experience for 15 years, I have been attending all these question answers centers with the different masters on the Vyas. So what I feel I want to express is whatever you people think is okay for me because we have to agree with everything we do. So Guru Nanak's story is that Bala, his disciple, is telling Guru Nanak's stories to second Guru Angad Dev Ji. Because Bala is such a companion of Guru Nanak who stayed with him from the beginning of childhood to the last moment. So he has a special spiritual brain to remember all the events of Guru Nanak event after the planets everywhere in the globe too. So he had been with him. So I will cut short of the story here to introduce what I'm going to tell. So Guru Nanak is telling the story to his Sangha, to his people when he is doing satsang with them. So there was a king, and when he was old, he gave the responsibility of the kingdom to his son and went in the forest for meditation. Because in ancient time it was a tradition like that. So the son thought that my father was king and he's going in the forest. Maybe he needs something, he asked him to give something and he can build a palace or some house for you. He said, no, this is not the way to meditate. I will sit under the tree and do the meditation on the bank of the river. So when he didn't agree, the son tied up a jewel on his scarf. If in case he needs something, he can use it. But one of the guard was watching that the king is going to the forest and he has a jewel. So at night, when the king left for the forest, he chased him. The king found a place to sit under the tree on the bank of the river and started meditating. And the guard Now I will call him thief. But the thief sat like 100 yards away, sitting behind a tree, watching the king when he was asleep while eating the Jew. So the king was not, I'm cutting short later. So the king was not sleeping at all. For 1 week he didn't sleep. And the thief is watching day and night, he has to wake up too. So one day he decided that I will go in the morning and whether I have to kill the king or fight the king, I will have to take this king. On the other hand, the king that morning went to the river and took the bath. They were sitting, some saints were sitting and talking about God and satsang. And he sat over there. They sat at the satsang. Without guru, there is no salvation. Rather to sit for long years or do the meditation wherever you are, but without master, no salvation. You have to come back and meditate for lives of the births and deaths. So he was afraid. Now I am in the forest, whom I should choose my guru here. Nobody goes and passes here. So at night, that evening, he said, made a promise with God. He said, whosoever you will send in the morning 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. every time, he will become my guru. And I will believe in you that you sent that person. On the other hand, the thief thought that I will go this morning and kill the king or fight the king and kill the king. Now the king is coming towards the king. Thief is coming towards the king. And king is thinking, waiting for his guru to come because he believes in his meditation and God that he will send, definitely send one. Now when he saw the thief, and thief thought, he's a king. Maybe he will attack me first, so I should attack him first. And the thief ran and the king ran toward him. And when the thief came close and the king fell on his feet, he said, you are my guru. I'm very lucky that you came over here. So he was like praying and praying to God that I'm thankful to you like this. And the thief was very surprised. King may be frightened. He was like afraid of me. So he said, get up, king, what happened? Why are you afraid? He said, no, my guru, my master, I'm not afraid. And you, God sent you here. You are my master. He thought for some time. He said, okay, if you are my master, and whatever I will say, you will do, because disciple has to surrender himself. He said, yes, I am ready to surrender. So he said, okay, surrender, whatever you have, well, anything. He said, no, I am surrendering myself. And only I have this jewel, I can give this one. Because I have left everything in my kingdom. So the thief took the jewel and went to some other place. And he bought everything and business and doing good living like that. And but before leaving, he said to the king, you keep sitting here until I come back. So he was a good disciple. And in his ways, the God sent his guru. So he sat over there. He didn't move for like 6 months. Now everything he is believing in God, God sent my guru. So the God of pity on him, I should have to go in one forum, make the king clear that he was a thief. Why you are sitting here and waiting for him? So God came in like a priest and he told him everything that he was not. He said, why are you talking bad about my guru, He's my master. You go away from here. No, he said, I accept your meditation, you are so clean-hearted, and you leave this place and go with me to heaven. She said, no. Then God thought I should go to the thief, and he went to the thief, and he said, get up from here and go to the king, make him stand over there, and you promised him to go back and you never go. He said, who are you? He said, you don't know. I can tell you, you took his jewel, made him sit over there, and you are enjoying life here. Then he suspected, he said, I'm God myself. He has to tell thief. So he got the thief back over there. Then he said, tell him, get out from here. Then he was very happy that my master has come back, and that he was touching his feet when he said, then God said, okay, now you can go with me. Your guru is here, he allowed you to get up. He said, no, how can I go with you? Because I never saw him before. He is my guru. I will go if my guru says. He made the guru's, thief God made him to say that, tell him to go with me. He told him, he said, no, not like this. I can't live without my guru. If you are taking my guru there, then I will live. Now, God was so pleased. He said, okay, now I will take the thief over to you. And you do, and everything is covered now through the disciple to the thief, to the guru. So Guru Nanak means to say, if you have a faith in the Guru, and if you have surrendered yourself, then you are a disciple. There is no question for the master. Our question arises from our mind, and mind is with us, and we ask the unnecessary question to the master which are against his personality. And master never died. That is why we are listening to satsang, we are coming from far and wide, we are spending money and wasting time here for what? Only to know that Master never died, Master of the vibrations. What magnet they have, we don't know what is going on in our houses now. No fear, nothing else. Whole days when we are all day at home, how many worries and all tensions we have. So this is the use of being in the Master. And there is no question. We never should ask those questions which were asked today. Now for the future. We don't know our future, what is going to be happen tomorrow. So why we are working for the Master? We cannot handle 4 children at a home. How he is handling everybody here? What is there? We can get up and go out with our will to, but something is controlling us here to be here. So I don't want to be so much longer. So my request to everyone, whenever you ask the question, ask the spiritual question so that we can have spiritual life with His grace. Thank you.
The story of the thief being the master in that case does not mean all masters have to be thieves first. Thank you and God bless.